Opening day is less than a week away. Who better to preview the 2017 Major League Baseball season than SI senior writer Tom Verducci? Tom, you spent a lot of time with the Cubs last year. Enough time to write an entire book about the Cubs called The Cubs Way. So congratulations on that achievement. Listen, they broke the curse. It's over now, but we were predicting dynasty for the Chicago Cubs. How likely is it that they'll go back-to-back?
They have a really good chance. I look at this team now, it reminds me of the Yankees in 1996. I'm not saying they're going to run off, say, 3 in a row at some point in this window, but they do have a window, and I think they'll be competitive in a playoff sense, not just divisional sense, but going deep in the playoffs for the next 5 years, because the base of this team, position players, haven't even got to the prime of their careers yet. This can be a better offensive team. I think they're the best team in baseball. We start 17 the way we ended 16. The Cubs are the team to beat.
Yeah, they really didn't add anyone, but they get Schwarber back and healthy. That's almost like getting an addition. And, of course, Dexter Fowler now out to a division rival in St. Louis. All right, the White Sox still rebuilding. Left-handed pitcher Jose Quintana, the most valuable asset that they have. Do you think they're going to trade him?
They will trade him. The question is when. Will someone suffer an injury or really see a need early in the season to pull the trigger in April or May? Traditionally, that doesn't happen. I'm looking more at June or July, mid-season. I've thought all along he's the perfect fit for the Houston Astros. I mean, listen, he's a perfect fit for a lot of teams.
For anyone.
He's really good. He's under a ridiculously cheap contract. The price is high. It should be high. But the Astros, to me, are a team that can go to the World Series, but not with the starting pitching they have right now. They don't have enough starting pitching that's reliable enough. Quintana is the one who puts them over the top.
There are 3 players who are all looking to make comebacks, yet they're in very different parts of their career. Bryce Harper, we know, had the shoulder issue. You have Jason Hayward and also Andrew McCutchen. Who do you think is really going to break out in 2017? I guess break out again.
Again, yeah. For me, based on what I saw in spring training, Bryce Harper, no question about it. I see someone who was back to being fully healthy. He had the shoulder neck injury last year that really, I thought, suffered his mechanics mostly in the second half of the season. But to me, watching him in spring training, he looks like it's 2015 again, that MVP season. The power is definitely back. And don't forget, he's going to have Adam Eaton and Trey Turner on base in front of him. So a lot of RBI opportunities. You know, Andrew McCutchen, I'm not sure what happens with him. He did hit better in September of last year. I can't tell you that I saw a big difference in spring training this year. Jury is still out on him. And also, by the way, he's going to have to deal with trade rumors all year. Those will be out there, not just in July. And the other one, Jason Hayward, you know, completely revamped his swing. Give him a lot of credit, put in a ton of work in the offseason. It just hasn't shown any results yet. And I think Cubs fans are going to have to hang in there with Hayward. I don't think he's going to get off to a good start, but I think he did the right thing because the way he swung the bat last year mechanically, that was destined to fail. So he's got a better chance this year. Give him time.
You've just come from spring training. This is the time for hope, eternal hope for all the teams in Major League Baseball. Who's going to surprise us in 2017?
I'm going to go way off the grid.
Okay.
Colorado Rockies.
Wow.
Yeah.
Going a mile high.
Yeah.
Hopefully not a mile wide.
And I say that because they didn't have a great spring training. A lot of injuries. Chad Bettis and Ian Desmond. A lot of injuries, but I think those guys will all start to flow back during the season. This is a dynamic offensive team. I think they will lead the major leagues in runs scored. Maggie, it comes down to this for me with the Rockies. They're good enough to get a playoff spot if their bullpen really comes through. A lot of veterans out there. Adam Ottavino is back from an injury. They signed Greg Holland. They have some answers in the bullpen. But as you know, pitching in mile-high atmosphere there, it's tough to predict that they're going to have a great bullpen. But to me, that's the sleeper team.
All right, well, they got Nolan Arenado, who we absolutely love. Ian Desmond, broken hand, but should be back in just about a month. We'll keep our eye on the Colorado Rockies. Tom Verducci, appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm Michael Beller, and here are my top 3 fantasy baseball sleepers for the 2017 season. Thanks to injuries, his own tepid performance, and one of the deepest rosters in baseball, Jorge Soler never fully caught on with the Cubs. The Cubs sent him to Kansas City for Wade Davis in the offseason, and he will begin his career anew as the Royals' starting right fielder, giving him the chance he never had in Chicago. At 25 years old, he still has plenty of time to harness his potential. The great news for fantasy owners is he's priced as a throwaway pick at the end of drafts, making him a pure zero-risk, high-reward play. Keyon Broxton turned in a strong debut half season in 2016, hitting .242, .354, .430 with 9 homers, 10 doubles, and 23 steals in 244 plate appearances. Broxton played about a full season at the AAA level between 2015 and last year, first with the Pirates and then with the Brewers, for a player with his general skill set. Add in the speed, and you get a player who's a real threat to produce a .250, .350, .430 slash line with 15 homers and 30 steals. It's easy to forget now, but Aaron Nola had an 8-start stretch last year in which he posted a 1.73 ERA, 2.66 FIP, 0.98 WHIP, and 55 strikeouts across 52 innings before the wheels fell off his season. That will happen to a 23-year-old still learning how to pitch, especially one who ultimately had his season cut short by an elbow sprain. Any pitcher who already had an elbow issue is even riskier than the average pitcher, but the injury isn't expected to limit Nola at all this season. Nola has a filthy curveball that produced a 20.2% whiff rate and a 55.8% ground ball rate last season. Pair that with a strong 4-seam, 2-seam duo, and Nola has the repertoire to be a top-of-the-rotation starter. That 50 starting pitchers come off the board before him in a typical draft is a joke.
I'm now joined by a 4-time World Series champion, a 5-time All-Star. Bernie Williams is here. I'm getting tongue-tied as you and I are watching our fantasy players there. I read you were just in spring training. You were with the Yankees, and I saw that you were really excited to meet Gary Sanchez. What did you see from him?
I saw a lot of great things. You know, for such a young player to have this great command of the strike zone, and he has this presence in the batter's box. You know, he seems like he could do anything. He's not very intimidated by anything or anybody. It seems like he's bigger than the situation that he's presented with. I think he's going to be a great player this year.
That's high praise coming from you. People are calling this new team the Baby Bombers, sort of harkens back to the Bombers and some of your teams that you were on, just because it's homegrown talent. Maybe you can come up together. Looking back now, if you were to give some advice to these Baby Bombers, what would it be?
Just stay together in the clubhouse.
Okay.
I think much of our success, I would think that in my mind, was attributed to Joe Torres, keeping us together in the clubhouse. He was basically dealing with all the media attention, with all the media distractions, and the clubhouse was a very, very tight unit. So to me, just keep it together in the clubhouse, and I think they'll be fine.
Wow, that's going to be really interesting to watch this team grow. One of your former teammates, Derek Jeter, he's getting his number retired this spring, May 14th. You got a chance to have this happen. Number 51, no Yankee will ever wear it again. What is this moment like? What do you remember most?
It's great. I think for him, it's just a technicality. I mean, he has been such a great part of the team, captain of the club. I think, he's going to be getting awards, from now on up until, whenever. It's for me, it was a great moment to have. It was just the epitome of all the sacrifices that I did and my family did, my town did. I was representing not only myself, but my family, my homegrown, Puerto Rico, everybody that had a stake in to make me, as successful as I was. And it was just a tribute for everybody that really helped me along the way.
Yeah, you say that your family, it's a tribute to all of them. Unfortunately, your father couldn't be there. Many people may not know this, but he passed away in 2001 from a rare lung disease. He was, though, able to see some of your great moments, World Series moments. What does it mean to you that for a lot of those accomplishments, he was able to watch you play?
He was just the anchor of my family. He was such an active person that fell through IPF, idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. And, it was just such a devastating thing for him and for us. But he was able to watch me play a couple of times. He was always my coach. Even I was 10 years in the big leagues, and he kept saying, "Don't swing at the wide ones, don't swing at the high ones." But he was just a great influence in my life, and it was very sad to see him go that way.
For people now who are dealing with this disease, for families who are now struggling, what do you want them to know?
Well, I recently teamed up with Behringer, a company out of Germany. And we're creating this great campaign called Breathless, and we're basically creating awareness to, for people to know about this disease. It's, that 132,000 people are living with IPF in the United States, and 50,000 people are diagnosed with it every year. And out of those 50,000 people, 40,000 die from it. This disease is 4 times more common than Lou Gehrig's disease. And it's kind of a sad thing that not a lot of people know about it. So I'm just trying to create some awareness. We have a website, breathlessipf.com. People could go there and get educated. Have those symptoms. My dad had a hard, persistent cough. It's like a cold that would never go away. And, the breathlessness, the things that he would take for granted to do, every day, walking on the beach, just being very active with us, became very hard to do because he couldn't breathe. So, it's a great thing to know and to be aware of.
Absolutely. Again, the website, breathlessipf.com. It's great you're doing such amazing things. I imagine that if your father were still alive, he would have loved to watch Puerto Rico in the World Baseball Classic. The passion, Bernie, that the team was playing with, well, the fans were loving it, but not all the American players seemed to be enjoying it as well. I'm not sure if you heard about the comments from Ian Kinsler talking about how this isn't the quote-unquote right way to celebrate. It's not appropriate what the Puerto Rican and Dominican teams were doing. I mean, listen, this is a team, you played for a team that didn't allow any celebrations. You didn't even have your name on the back of your jersey. Couldn't, have facial hair, couldn't have long hair, couldn't show any expression. But how much would you have loved to have been playing for those Puerto Rican teams that showed all this passion?
I would have loved playing. Just to have the opportunity to represent my country in an international competition is just excuse enough for me to, to go ahead and do it. I think, what Ian was talking about is more of a cultural thing. Latin people, especially Puerto Ricans and Dominican, we tend to be very emotional, very passionate. And baseball has always been characterized, at least in the United States, as a sport of you don't showboat. You don't show off the opposition. You hit a home run and you shut up and run the bases hard, and you keep playing the game. But I think, obviously that's not the way they play the games in all these Latin countries. It's all, everybody gets involved. Everybody's like brash and passionate and intense about it. And they were showing, part of, what they, what their culture means to them.
Do you feel like Major League Baseball would be better suited to incorporate a little of what we saw in the World Baseball Classic?
Well, I think in my way of seeing this is why the Baseball World Classic is all about. To have the different cultures, come in and come into a tournament that everybody can express themselves just the way their culture allows them to do. And that's what makes this game great. And that's, to me, it was the purpose of this tournament, to have all this clash of cultures and different attitudes about the game, just go in and to see who was the best.
Okay, so if I'm reading that right, you're saying leave that at the World Baseball Classic. It can be that way. Maybe the major leagues should just stay the way they are. I don't want to put words in your mouth.
You should be yourself.
Okay.
The game is changing. I think, we have seen with the advent of social media and all these, promoting of the players and all these, Instagram and Facebook is all about being aggressive, promoting yourself. It's about being passionate and being maybe a little bit more intense than people were 50 years ago.
I know you have a great relationship with the Yankees, so I'm not trying to get you in any trouble here, but should they relax a little with their haircut rule and the facial hair? I mean, you said it's the time of social media. Guys are branding themselves individually. Should that sort of old tradition die now?
I never said anything about that.
Okay.
Yankees,
I'm not trying to get you in trouble.
The Yankees are just, that's the way they do things.
That's true.
And once you work if you see, major baseball teams as a corporation, you have to adhere to their rules. And for me, I think I took it as a sign of a pride, to be part of an organization that had those rules, and I was happy with them.
Yeah, clearly a lot of success over your nearly 2 decades playing for the Yankees, 16 years. All right, well, you've moved on to this unbelievable career outside of baseball. Everyone knows that you're this fantastic guitar player. You have a bachelor's in jazz composition. You are classically trained. So we thought it might be kind of cool to try to combine your two loves, baseball and also music. So we have a guitar for you. If it matters, it was signed by Taylor Swift. I don't know if that makes any difference to you or not.
Definitely make it very special.
You guys both have something in common. You're both Grammy nominated. Okay, so we thought that if you combine your two loves, baseball and music, what would it sound like to face some of the game's greatest pitchers? So I'll let you think about that. Sort of what would be the interpretation of sound of these great pitchers? Now, you don't have to play us a whole song, but just the sound. So let's start with someone like Roger Clemens.
Okay. I don't know. He's really intense. So it's be more like more of a metal kind of thing.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I know,
don't know.
that really fits, actually. I felt that. I think that's true. What about a Greg Maddux? Someone like him, what does that sound like?
I think Greg Maddux was more of a finesse kind of type, you know, sort of ethereal, kind of more like, I don't know.
It fits. I'm telling you, this is beautiful. It was sort of beautiful to watch Maddux pitch, and that was very beautiful. What about a Randy Johnson? Violent, maybe. I don't know. You were the one who faced him.
Yeah, Randy Johnson. Yeah, probably the same thing as Roger. He was more like a really intense, kind of a blues kind of like. I don't know.
You know, like Randy, you know, the hair.
Yeah, it's kind of a rocker
sound like
kind
that.
of thing.
What about like a Kurt Schilling? I don't know where to begin with Schilling.
Yeah, he was just, I don't know. To me, he was more of a, you know, like persistent, like consistent, durability. You know, something like, I don't know, out of, I don't know, Midwestern America.
That's beautiful. It really is. I think it makes a lot of sense. Okay, one more, but we think you're going to like this one because this is a pitcher you had some of your best numbers against throughout your career, Jamie Moyer.
Oh my God.
So if it's like fireworks, the guitar's just going to burst into flames. But something like that because we know Moyer, it's rock and roll straight up for you. Bernie Williams. Oh my God. Just amazing what you're able to do. Thank you so much for doing this.
Can I keep this?
Sure. I'll give it. It's not mine, but I'm giving it away to Bernie Williams. Thank you. It is such a pleasure to talk with you about baseball for doing this. You are so great. Again, we should say the website, breathlessipf.com, using your celebrity for some great things, Bernie. Thanks so much. Don't be a stranger, okay?
Thank you
so much. Really appreciate that. All right, the NFL draft is less than a month away. I've never seen more mock drafts in my entire life. So you want tips for your own mock draft? Here's our own Andrew Perloff.
So you want to write an NFL mock draft? Don't worry, I have 7 rules that are going to make you an instant mock draft expert. Rule number 1, start with the quarterbacks. Put as many as you can in the first round. This year's crop may not be great. I don't care. Get him in there. Deshaun Watson, Pat Mahomes, maybe even Deshaun Kaiser. I'd put Mitchell Trubisky at 2, 6, and 10 if I could. Rule number 2, running backs are back in. They're like Doc Martens. He's big in the 90s, and now they're fashionable again. Take advantage. People love Leonard Fournette and Dalvin Cook. We may even have a white running back in the first round. That hasn't happened since 1992 with touchdown Tommy Vardell.
The touchdown, Tommy style.
Rule number 3, trades are your friend. The hardest part of doing a mock draft is matching players with team needs. But when you're writing a mock draft, you're playing God. You can trade anyone you want. Bill Belichick loves trading draft picks. I should give him a call. Bill Perloff here. All right, here's the deal. I'm going to give you number 12 in next year's first rounder for Garoppolo. Done. And that, my friends, the art of the deal. Rule number 4, use disclaimers liberally. Statements like, I wouldn't take this guy, but the Browns probably would, should be used often. It may not be fair, but making fun of the Browns always plays. Rule number 5, overreact to the combine and pro days. We all know these numbers don't mean much. But did you see John Ross's 40?
Let's moving, bro.
Be able to run routes and catch a ball, that's nice, but a 4.22, that'll get your mock draft lots of clicks. Rule number 6, make bold comparisons to current pros. When you sit down to write your mock draft, remember, the loftier, the better. Myles Garrett, the strength of J.J. Watt, the speed of Von Miller, and the moves of Reggie White. Was he better than those guys? Rule number 7, have fun. People take this way too seriously. It's a mock draft, not the Magna Carta. Believe me, the Browns aren't reading mocks to decide who they're going to take number 1 overall.
This is the draft analysis we've all been working on for the last 2 months.
Although they might want to consider it the way the last few years have gone. All right, now that you have my 7 rules, go out there and mock away. Because if there's one thing the internet needs, it's more mock drafts.
That was a lot of fun. Well, as for a quarterback that could be going anywhere from, I don't know, a top 15 pick to maybe even the second round, it's Texas Tech quarterback Patrick Mahomes. I caught up with him just a few weeks ago. Patrick Mahomes joining us from beautiful San Diego, California. I'm curious, did you ever surf? Are you a surfer growing up?
No, I've never been a surfer. Never thought about getting that deep into the ocean.
You're not scared of the ocean, are you?
A little bit. Not bad. I'll get in a little bit, but not too much.
The combine and this whole draft process must be a really crazy time because I'm sure even if you try to avoid it, you can't help but hear and read some of these scouts and draft experts who are just breaking down every part of your game. Has there been something that you've either read about yourself or heard about yourself where you just look at it and you say, that is flat out not true. That is just not me?
I mean, I don't know if there's any specific thing. I memean, there's a lot of things that scouts say, and people will try to tweet at me and stuff like that. It's all about what the coaches think, about what the owners, general managers, all of them think. And for me, it's just going out there being the best person I can be every single day.
As you're gaining this sort of fame in Lubbock, Texas, which is not really a big city, what was it like for you, and taking away social media, in real life, to be like in a fishbowl as you're getting more and more well known?
I mean, it definitely prepared me for what my next step will be. And I mean, in Lubbock, I think everybody loves Texas Tech football. It's an awesome experience. I mean, just to have that support like that in your college town. I mean, sometimes you go to big area colleges and you don't get that support. And I mean, so just being in Lubbock, being in that fishbowl was a cool experience. Got to sign a lot of autographs, got to take a lot of pictures.
Your father, Pat Mahomes, played in the major leagues 12 years. I mean, so he, I'm sure, also taught you a little about what it's like to be a famous athlete. Yet I'm sure you probably saw a little of the business side, too. I mean, your father had a great career, but he was in the minors, he was in the majors, he played in Japan at one point. Well, how did that leave an impression on you, seeing sort of what the business side of sports is from a young age?
I mean, it definitely just seeing how hard everybody works. I mean, just the guys that are in the pros, how hard they have to work to stay in the pros, and the guys in the minors, how hungry they are to get to the top. I mean, it's just something that you have to be ready at all times. You have to be ready to go. You have to make the most of every opportunity you have, or I mean, you'll get your spot taken. So I mean, it's something that I think I'm been prepared for, just watching my dad, watching my godfather LaTroy. I mean, how they executed and had careers in MLB, and it was just with hard work and just that hunger to always be great.
Of course, yeah, your godfather, LaTroy Hawkins, who played 2 decades in Major League Baseball. Was your dad the kind of hands-on father? Was he always pushing you, or did he leave it to your coaches?
I think he did. He tried to, but I mean, for me, it was just like an internal drive. I've always wanted to be a professional athlete. I've always wanted to be the best I can be, and it's something that I just love competing. I love being out there with my teammates, and I love trying to win games and just kind of building those memories with my guys. And I mean, that's what I've always had in me. I've always wanted to be the best, and I mean, I think that's just what's carried me to where I am today.
It's interesting because we're looking now at Lonzo Ball. Of course, he's from UCLA, the famous basketball player, the freshman. His dad, LeVar, has been saying, my son's better than Steph Curry and other things like that. I mean, we're all wondering if that's putting more pressure on Lonzo. If your father was going out there saying, hey, my son's better than Aaron Rodgers, I mean, does that affect you, or are you able to tune it out?
I mean, I tune it out. My dad will say some stuff like that. Maybe not Aaron Rodgers. He'll say stuff like that back home. I mean, he's just not going to the media and saying it like that. But I mean, it's something where, I mean, I have that pressure on myself. I want to be the best. I mean, that's the truth, and I'm gonna train like it. I'm gonna compete like it, and hopefully one day I can be. So I mean, that's an internal pressure on myself, and it's something that the outside pressure won't affect me. It's gonna be all about me pushing myself to be great every single day.
Man, so your dad is back home saying what? You're best quarterback in the draft, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, my dad would say anything.
Okay, so you're not going to model any of your, football skills after your father. Obviously, he was a major league pitcher, but who else out there, either college or pros, who were you modeling your game after?
I mean, definitely Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I watched every game he played when I was in college. And I mean, I would go back on film, watch Coach Kingsbury, and I just love the way he plays, love the way he extends plays, and he's definitely the guy that I'd probably model my game after. I mean, there's other guys I take away from Ben Roethlisberger. I've been watching a lot of Tom Brady lately, seeing how his fundamentals are and how consistent he is with them. I mean, he's one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. You got to watch all the greats to become great.
March 31st is your pro day. I mean, is there anything you felt like you sort of left out on the floor at the combine that you want to make up for in your pro day?
I mean, really, I thought I did really pretty well at the combine. The only thing that I feel like I really want to work on is throwing the outs to the left. I feel like I threw a little behind, and I want to try to make those throws and correct those by the pro day. But other than that, I feel like I did pretty well at the combine. I'm just going to try to make every NFL throw possible and show I can do all those.
Listen, Patrick Mahomes, wishing you all the best at your pro day on March 31st at Texas Tech, and hopefully we'll catch up with you very soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for this Wednesday edition of SI Now. We'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. But until then, keep it locked to SI.com for all the latest news. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at SI Now Live. Have a great day, and we will see you tomorrow.